Shalom, Israel. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops, great millstone. My salutation to the brothers teaching the word. For the hopeful elect, soon to be elect, most high will. To the hopeful extended elect, shalom blessings. You know, yeah, we had Passover, and this is a kind of like a blackout video. It was a blackout on Passover. Um, Passover night, we had finished the service, and that was a blessing. And right after the service, the lights went out. It wasn't even thundering. It had rained a little bit, but it wasn't lightning and thundering to where it would knock out a power box or anything. So it could have been a sign, and we always prophesy these things must happen, what we've been prophesying. End of the world is here. Jacob's trouble, MOTB, things concerning prophecy, and all the things that's coming up on the world, the trouble, the distress, the wild things happening, phenomenons, unusual things happening, things happening on a mass scale, consistently happening, you know. So we take these things very serious, man. And it talks about the prophets were here from the beginning and speaking things to come. Even that whole statute concerning Daniel, starting with the Babylon on to, the division of Rome, the last leg of Rome, the division of, the Edom kingdom, and Yahweh Shai being that stone cut out and to destroy the image, taking all these nations down, the power system down of all those nations that were for and here now, that whole power structure, because it's really been a continuing power structure of the enemy, our enemies ruling, and America taking on the image, systematic formation of these other kingdoms that were before. That's why America is called spiritual Sodom and Egypt, modern day Babylon, modern day Nineveh, Syria. Yeah, and we had, we had cruel lords over us, just like we have now. Trump is playing a cruel king. This whole system is against the Israelites. And they're talking more and more every day on a draconian level. So Most High did set things, signs in the earth, you know, signs in the heavens, signs of among men that they witness, even in their dreams and their visions. And people, like we said, been talking about that a lot lately, a lot more lately than ever. It says Luke 1:7, it says 1:70, as he spake by the holy prophets. Go one before that. Luke 1:69, and hath raised up. Let me go one more. Blessed be the Lord, Yahweh of Israel, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. And his people is the children of Israel, so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans. He said he would redeem us without the sword, without money. It said he would defend Jerusalem as birds flying. So we prophesy also about the chariots, which people call UFOs, or they're mistaken as UFOs because they've been lied to by the covering cast, which is so-called white man, covered up our history and our heritage, and covered up things regarding what we've seen and witnessed upon the earth. Um, Even going into the very book and painting a likeness of himself to have people believe that he's the children of God. Um, then this goes on to say, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us. You know, salvation, that's what we're hoping for. The hopeful elect is hoping for salvation, saving from this condemned world, from this judgment coming upon America, for us in the house of his servant David. David is going to be king, going to be under Yahweh Shai, and that holy tabernacle of David is being rebuilt. You know, they destroyed the temple, and you know, they took it as destroyed, you know, because they were carnal. Even when they slew Yahweh Shai, they took it as, you know, his death, and he actually conquered death. And you know, they mocked him, saying, you know, he could save others, but himself he cannot save. So salvation is very important to us, and the name Yahweh Shai, as well as foremost his father Yahweh, those names are very important to us. It's safety in the name, and it's um, basic confirmation too, that that's where the saving is. That his name means he that saves. So if you're not honoring his name, how are you going to be wanting to be saved? And that's what his name actually means, he that saves. As well as Yahweh, his name is a strong tower, and that's his father. He that runs into it is safe. How are you going to be safe? Because these things are coming up on the world. It says man's heart failing what's coming up on the world, what's coming up on the earth. So these are glitches in this matrix of signs that, you know, his return is soon, and the end of the world is here. The end of the wicked. As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, man. So his holy prophets been speaking, you know, since the world began, like it says. So even in this day, they're speaking loudly, the end of prophecies. And prophet is to say before, so the seers. So, you know, a lot of times when things happen, signs upon the earth, unless it's real extreme, people just take it for granted, or they take it for another day. You know, the lights go out and they say, well, it's, you know, it's a blackout. You know, now the lights are back on. You know, or a storm come, and you know, they was like, man, that's terrible. We got over it. We're getting back, and you know, and the system is running good again. You know, but you know, people seeing it's not really so much like that no more. As things have changed, system is not bouncing back like it used to. People are not all right in their spirit like they used to. They even more gearing toward like, man, something's going to happen, and the, you know, they say eagerly say Jesus. They say, well, the son of, Jesus is making his second return. So, you know, they say that more often now than they used to. And you know, that's this is the main scripture. It's basically a scripture of the day. But yeah, and there will be more blackouts, and you know, we've said that too. When these things are taken for granted, and they don't come back. People are like in shambles. They're in great confusion because they're so dependent upon the system, the lights of the system, and the power of the system. And when blackouts happen, people forget how much what they use is powered by the power system, power grid, if you will. Your cell phone, is powered by by the power of the system with outlets and all that. Your water, your warm, your air, whether it's heat or cold air. People could die any kind of way. They could die freezing, or they can die of a what do you call it, dehydration. So a lot of times this is for these people is going to play like a double-edged sword, man. You know, we get often get that scripture. It's going to be like as they ran from a lion, ran into a bear, ran from the bear and ran into a house and leaned up on a wall, and a serpent bit them. So one event to the other. So that's basically what times we're in, and these little glitches in the matrix, blackouts here and there, and things similar to that have begun to be noticed, and more people are paying more attention to, not taking it so lightly now, because everything that's moving and everything that's talking and walking is lining up. Especially when spoken by the prophets, to take as, to learn from or see something from it, to how these days are going and dwindling down to the end of the world, the very end of the world. So it even tells you in the scriptures, let the beast shall teach thee. So, Most High got spirit in all flesh. He is a spirit and beast. So the spirit of the beast is going to show signs. I think brothers, some of the elders posted up how a mass of birds was, I think outside of, around Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or something like that. But it has been other places too. So if you go outside of a Walmart or Costco, wherever you are, outside your home, and you see a bunch of birds gathering, especially if it's ravens, black crows, what have you, those are signs, man. So that's why we say keep your eyes open and stay awake on that level. We sleep, but we awake on the spiritual level, to where we see these things for signs and things that's coming. So, but anyway, I just thought I'd share that, and share a scripture today. Shalom.